We're moving on to literacy, right? Nancy is going to present the last presentation. Nancy.
Oh, yeah, the last one. I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah. Anyhow, yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share my story with you today. I too have been on a journey with the embedded teacher collaboration model, and that journey has led to what I think is a pretty amazing project that's happening this year in spite of pandemic. I'd like to start at the beginning. I've been in the role of literacy resource teacher now. This is year 7, and back in the school year of 2017-2018, with the help of Anne Smith, who at the time was principal at Lac du Bois, we embarked on a embedded book club, and decided that having the time open for teachers to work and learn together during the school day was important and respectful to them. But even then, finding the coverage in terms of TTOCs was a challenge. And so she and the vice principal at the time, and I believe it was Andrew Lee, they took all of the primary students and they did some amazing things with them in the gym so that I could work with the 10 primary teachers. It was a 6-week experience where we met for 1 hour every week. And it was really and truly a book club, but people were willing to do some reading, to go and try things, and then to reflect and share. So that year, as I stated already, that was 10 teachers. It was in-school coverage, and it amounted to 6 hours of collaboration time. Jumping a little bit ahead to the 2019-2020 school year, through conversations that happened, Pinewood Elementary, which was the last school that I worked at as a classroom teacher, they made the decision that, yeah, that embedded model, that was intriguing. And again, thanks to principals, so Lisa Norman at the time, with the support of some of the non-enrolling teachers, members of curriculum innovation team. I believe we also had some support from Indigenous education as well. They would take the students into the gym and do a variety of different sessions with the students, which allowed from week to week for me to either be meeting with the 4 primary teachers and 1 of the non-enrolling teachers, or the 4 intermediate teachers and 1 non-enrolling teacher. Again, it was connected to some rich professional resources. We did alternate week to week between the primary and the intermediate cohorts, and that went on for, I believe it was about 12 weeks. So by the end of that school year, we had, I connected with 10 teachers, had the support of an amazing principal and other people to have 13 hours of collab time happen. Again, it was in school coverage, which I know from speaking with those teachers, they really did feel respected that that was able to happen. January of 2020, there were 4 of us that had the opportunity to visit Maple Ridge because we had heard about an amazing coaching co-planning model that was being offered in Maple Ridge by Faye Brownlee, an amazing BC educator. And we got to make a trip. Myself, Deb was a part of that, Marie Fanshaw, and Corinne got to go and see this model in action and what a possibility could be. Came back, we were all ready to roll, and pandemic hits. So the Pinewood experience, of course, had to be paused at that point, which brings us to the 2020-21 year, the last school year, the first full school year in pandemic. I didn't know what to expect going into that school year. I hoped that Pinewood would still be able to do this even within the protocols that we were under at that point. And yes, indeed, they were. And not only was Pinewood on board, Foothills came on board. And in the January of 2021, Ron Brent came on board. Same kind of model happened. We had rich professional resources. People agreed to do some reading, go and try things, come back and discuss. Depending on the school, it was either 2-week rotations, 6-week, and sometimes it was 1-week rotations. And the various details are there on the screen for you to read. But what I think was a great success was that even in a pandemic school year, by the end of last school year, I had the amazing opportunity to collaborate with 22 teachers with the support of 3 principals and 1 vice principal, and collectively there were 52 hours of collaboration time. Next slide, please, Deb. Which led to a dream that I had. We had some amazing success happening. I was hearing from lots of teachers that it was the best professional development that they had ever taken part in. And so my teaching career actually started in Mackenzie. I was up there for 9 years. One of the running jokes, long running jokes up there was that the highway to Mackenzie was longer than the highway into Prince George. And when we were looking at professional development and collaboration opportunities, they didn't always happen. If they were able to happen, it did not happen easily. So one of the gifts of pandemic was learning to use things like Zoom, like Teams, and being able to connect with people, not only across our district, but, you know, honestly, across the world. And so I had this idea that what if we had a rural schools network? What if we connected the teachers working in Mackenzie, working in McBride, in Valemont, in Hickson, Giscombe? What if we were able to create this network where people could collaborate with other teachers in other buildings online? Now, those of you that have worked with Deb Cavan know that she is one who will support these big dream initiatives. And one of the things that really got this rolling was this little conversation with Deb, with Monica and Corinne. One day, I shared this idea and I was going to ask for some money to get some professional resources. And when you're working with Deb and Monica and Corinne, all of a sudden it exploded. It became this huge thing. And one of the things that was driving this for me was one of our directions within our strategic plan and this idea of equity. And a lot of our rural schools have smaller populations, and knowing how, you know, funding operates, budgets are created based on size of schools. A lot of our rural schools were not going to be able to afford the resources, not just professional, but the actual in the classroom teaching resources that are needed. And so that big dream happened, became a bigger dream. And we have 9 of our rural schools, which, looking on your screen now, are shown by the green rectangles around the groupings. We have the schools are either in pairs or in a triad. And once a week in a variety of forms, because I wanted to honor the identities and the voice of each building to set up these collaboration blocks that would fit with who they were. So we have these collaboration blocks going on. In fact, I took part in 2 of them today. And along with the Rural Schools Project launching, you can see that there are other schools on the list that were not on last year's. Nusdeo has joined. Van Bien is joining. In fact, their first rotation starts tomorrow morning, so I'm really excited about that. Southridge is a part of it, and Spruceland is a part of it. So the number crunching that I did when I sat down and figured this out, by the end of the school year, I am working with 15 schools consistently on a weekly basis. By the end of the school year, it will be 119 teachers that will be working together, with whom I get to learn alongside. That's 20 principals and vice principals, and collectively it's 263 hours of collaboration time. And that's the story.
Thank you for sharing that story.